agenda, because this is where we are headed to as a nation.
How is Vihiga?
Vihiga is good. Vihiga is calm. Basically, we are people who are calm, and we don't do much of picketing, but we do much of working. That is what Vihiga is, committed to working. Yeah.
Maybe we start with your name.
Yeah, my name is Anna. I'm Ann Desma, the CCM in charge of youth, gender, culture, sports, social services in Vihiga County. Yes.
That's quite a long name. We'll just speak a bit.
Yeah. Youth affairs. Yes.
The element of youth affairs and the Gen Zs, which now own the narrative in the country. Maybe we start by you telling us a bit of what's the county administration doing in respect to what, as the Vihiga County government, what is it doing for the youth or with the youth?
Okay. Basically, our county is made up of 25% population is young generation. It means this is a significant population in our county, and this is a population that cannot be ignored at all costs. And looking at what is happening today, it is like youths in the whole nations are trying to find their spaces in the institutions, in the governance, in the social sector. They really want to be felt. They want to be seen. They want to be understood. So basically, as a county, we are committed to listening to our young people, because we know in as much as they have complaints, they are raising issues. Some of these issues are valid. Some of these issues are issues that can be looked into positively, so that we come out with a credible solution that can solve the challenges that our children and our young people are facing in our county. As a county government, we have policies in place that are helping us to actually harness the potential of our young people for socioeconomic growth. For example, we have a Youth Act. If you look into our Youth Act, basically it is focusing on development of young people in our county. We also have a Sports Act. And then this Sports Act is now focusing on the talent. And if you look in Vihiga County, the population that is the most talented is the population of young people. So these acts are actually guiding us as a county government to see how well can we administer to the needs of the young people in Vihiga. And considering the current situation, whereby we are experiencing a lot of anxiety and unrest in our counties with the Gen Zs, they have become an in thing. We are really negotiating on a dialogue, because having a dialogue with these young people is the best way to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see, at some point, youth agenda, who sets the youth agenda? The government or themselves? And I'm saying that because you just mentioned about the act, the two acts.
Yes.
Youth Act
And the Sports Act.
And the Sports Act. You see, you guys can put up a tournament.
Yes.
Thinking that you are nurturing talent. But that's just a tournament. Guys are going to play games.
Yes.
And there's no nurturing of talent in that. So, youth agenda, who sets it? You or them?
Yeah, the youth agenda is an inclusive issue. Like, you look at our government setup, we give youths priority to make most of the decisions concerning them. We have a youth board actually that is purely a board consisting of young people, people below 35 years. And we entrust this board with communicating the affairs of youth in the whole county. And if you see what this board has done, they have mapped out all the youth groups in the county. And when we talk of young people, they are very authentic. And they will always tell you the truth as it is. You cannot impose something on young people. This is what the nation has to understand.
Yes.
So when we come up with these policies and the acts, we subject them to public participation. And the target population, especially if it's a policy or an act that is talking about the youth agenda, we make sure the target population are young people in the county, so that they give us their input. Like recently, we've been doing regulations to our Youth Act. You see, the board told us there are some issues that you really need to review in your act. and you have to do this regulation. We want this, we want this, we want you to set this, we want you to set a youth fund, a fund that will be able to cater for the needs of our young people in this county. And you see, we have to agree to what they are saying, because this is a policy that is going to take care of them. This is a policy that is going to help us to ensure that we are empowering them, to ensure that we are harnessing their potential, to see them at least grow economically and even career-wise in a county.
The element of youth agenda, it comes at a time when everyone is focused on what they are saying.
Yes, yes.
The county government of Vihiga is doing the same.
Yes, yes.
It is so critical.
Yes, yes.
But how critical?
Aha. It is critical because you look at this generation called Gen Z. This is a generation that grew up when there were no caning in school. The Kibaki era, you know, no corporal punishment. This is not a generation that you can force or you can use force to deal with them. And then we are looking at a generation that is very smart, especially in the digital space. So if we are not catching up with what they are doing in the digital space, then automatically we'll be left out. So because we are coming in a generation that I can say Generation X, it means we have to catch up with the pace of these young people. And how do we catch up? Is basically by listening to them. Because when you listen to them, when you listen to what they are saying, and you go deeper, like for example, let me take an example of what is happening in Kenya. Youths are demanding for accountability. And you see this one is now rolling to our counties, that we must be accountable. And of course, it is just good manners and it is prudent that as a state officer, as a government leader, you must be accountable to your performance contract. And you see, this is what the young people are demanding. So that is how critical it is, because this generation is keeping us on checks and balances. And if we are not careful, or if we can't accept to be put on checks and balances, then automatically we should get out of their way.
Yes.
That is what they are trying to tell us.
But then you see there is the feedback.
Yes, yes.
You know, when they ask something, you said they asked for specific elements in the act. And by way of feedback, you actually did what they wanted.
Yes, yes.
And then they talked some more.
Yes,
yeah?
yes, yes,
and so, feedback. Who is managing this feedback? And are they the only ones talking, or are you also talking?
Okay, basically, they are telling us they are leaderless, and they are telling us they are tribeless, and they are telling us their language is internet, their language is Facebook. So our feedback is basically the dialogue that we hold with them. For example, once if you can approach one of them or two, and you get to understand what they automatically know what the other team is thinking about. So through that one person who has volunteered to talk to you, you will be able to give feedback. But again, I want to be categorical, like as much as they have demands, you know, they are giving us, they are demanding accountability, and they are demanding to have their way, to do what they want. Yeah. You know, as leaders, we need to look at the rational and the irrational thoughts, rational and irrational demands. So it is our duty to confront the irrational beliefs, because there are some beliefs that are not doable. There are some beliefs that cannot be achieved. For example, if a young person woke up today and told me, Waziri, I want a state-of-art stadium in the next 1 month. How possible is that? It is not possible.
You are the government. The government does miracles.
You know, you really need to sit down with these young people and tell them, yes, you want the stadium. It is a valid request. But then we need to look at the source of funding. We need to look at the budgeting plans. We need to look at our CIDP. Is it in our CIDP? You see, we cannot do anything that is beyond our CIDP as a county. You know, what I'm talking about is, with the young people today, we just need to reason together. Because in the process of dialogue and reasoning together, there are areas that they will accept, they will agree to. And there are areas, there are demands that I will not also agree to. But we need to get a common ground. And what is a common ground? It must be a win-win situation, whereby the government is not losing, and the young people are not also losing.
But you see, mostly the government speaks. When the government speaks, in most cases it's representing someone else's interest, away from the interest of the audience that they are targeting or they are talking to. So you guys end up talking to them other than talking at them other than talking to them.
Okay. Okay. You are saying we talk to them other than
you talk at them.
We talk at them other than
talking to them. Because the difference is in the feedback. Because if you are talking, you just mentioned about the state of the art study. You just talked about the sports act and the youth act. You see, according to you, their input is part of the conversation you have, right?
Yes.
But then what will happen if you decided that you want a stadium, you as a government, and there is no input from their part?
You see, like I said,
because you talked about talent.
Yes.
And you see, talent and
is key
tournaments.
For us. Yeah.
You see, tournament is a tournament.
Tournament is talent.
No.
You cannot go for tournament if you're not
There's
talented.
a very fine line. But you see, a talent is inborn.
Yes.
And
let me ask you, how do you play football if you're not talented?
No. You see, we can do that for political reasons.
Okay, that is for political reasons, but we're talking of now the raw talent.
Yes.
Like when you look at the sports fund in Vihiga County, basically there to nurture the raw talent in the wards.
Yes.
From the grassroots. We are supposed to nurture this raw talent from the grassroots and bring it up to a Premier League level. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
So that is the purpose of the fund, and that is why it was in the act. In the act, yes. And they are the same youths who proposed that. They want to grow the talent. And then when we talk of projects like imposing projects on them, there's no way you can impose a project where a public participation has taken place. And there's no way you can impose a project where feasibility study has taken place. These are the basic things. And when we are doing these feasibility studies, they are the same young people we are using. They're the same young people we want to engage in the feasibility studies. Environmental impact assessment assessments.
Yes.
They're the same young people who are involved in the research and the findings. So you see, I can't, actually with the generation today, they are very knowledgeable. You cannot impose a project on them. And if you try to impose a project on them, believe me, they will reject. They'll just reject it. They will even vandalize it. And they don't care. Because they will feel like this thing is not helping us. So what happens? The government goes at a loss. What we are emphasizing on is, as a county government of Vihiga, public participation is key. And if it is a project targeting or an activity targeting a particular age group, please let all counties commit to that public participation. And we are not limited to physical public participation. We can even do it on social medias, because our young people are keen on social media.
Yes.
They are all over. Let us publish these projects in our websites. Let us give them time frame to comment and give us a feedback.
Yes.
And let us have young people in our communication departments who can give the same feedback to the young people. Because the way I talk may not be the way a young person will talk. They have their language. They even speak languages that we don't understand, something called Sheng. They come and talk to you in a language that you just need another young people in your office to help you interpret that what they're saying. So what Vihiga County is actually doing is, like in my department, the Youth Affairs Department, we've tried our best to employ many young people. You come there and see the population of my staff, youth are covering about 70% of the population that we have in the Youth Affairs Department. Actually, it is more than 75. Because the only person there who is past the youth age is me and the chief officer. But the rest are 35, within 35 and 25.
Good. Now, you see, during Jesus' day, the language that was spoken was called Aramaic. Aramaic was a confusion of Hebrew and Greek, as in it was Sheng of the time. So give it time, it will grow. That Sheng they are
that
talking
Sheng
about.
will grow. They come with funny languages, and they expect you to understand what they are saying. So you need to ask another youth, alikuwa anasema nini?
So the issue is this. These are digital natives.
Yes.
You call them tribeless. You call them leaderless.
They are even saying partyless.
Or whatever. They speak their own language. We just mentioned Sheng. They have their own communication, which is very good. Now, Paul in the Bible also said he had to become, to the Jew he became a Jew to win the Jews. To the Gentiles he became the Gentile to win the Gentiles. Now, are we, by employing them and giving them jobs and responsibilities in the government, is it a way of becoming them to do what they want? Or how are you really touching their pulse on this digital land which they stay in? And what programs can you tell us now that you are able to use to impact the youth in your county?
I want to say, for us to get in touch with the young people, we must catch up with their pace in the digital space. That one is key. Look at what is happening in Kenya today. They are holding their conversation on X. They don't even want the Zoom, our Zoom that we're used to. No, they are
that's old school.
That's old school. They have now grown a bit higher to an X space, and they know very well X is very, very international. So what they are doing is they are spreading their gospel internationally. So for us to catch up, for us to communicate on the same level, I don't want to say being like them, because we can't be like them, but we can communicate on the same level.
Yes.
Number one, we must understand who they are. We must know these are anxious people. These are restless young people. These are people who are feeling frustrated because of the challenges that we are facing as a country. And then we also need to understand that these are young people who feel like they have been left out on the table. They have been left out of the party, and they want to invite themselves in that party. And they even want to take over the party and direct how this party will be or will run. You know, we need to understand. So how do we fit in this party with them? How do we coexist? You know, this is the question that every Kenyan should be asking. Number one, we need to understand, as leaders, we are supposed to give direction. As leaders, we have a constitution that is guiding us. As leaders, we have policies, we have acts in our counties that are guiding us. We need to expose this constitution to our young people.
Yes.
We need to tell them what is right and what is wrong. Though, you also notice that they are also over-informed in our constitution matters. You know, they understand the constitution. But it is our sole duty to do a lot of civic education to these young people so that we are reading on the same table. But we must also be accountable, because the young people are seriously demanding accountability from their leaders. That is all they want. As long as we are accountable, we will fit in this generation.
Yes.
But if we are not accountable, we will fall out automatically. That is the key issue here. We must be accountable and fit in this generation, because their gospel is all over. They are demanding accountability. What are you doing as account? Why are you doing this? Why are you know, those are the questions. How are you doing this? Why are you doing this? So what do? We must be accountable. We have no shortcut. We must stick to our performance contracts. We must achieve what we have promised to them. And we are talking of a generation that you cannot give them empty promises. So set your goals right as a leader and give a promise that you know you will achieve.
Wow.
But if you set ambiguous goals, you know, we are getting out of the system where, as a politician, I will stand and cheat you. I will bring an airport here. I will bring, let me talk of a port in Bungoma. You know, this is not the era to speak lies. We are living in a generation that we must be true to what we are saying. And this is what young people are demanding from us. So are we ready to give them what they are asking? If we are not ready, then we must get out of their way.
You see, you've said that now, that is the second time.
Yes.
We get out of their way.
If we are not ready to be accountable.
One thing I want to commend the county government of Vihiga is the youth programs you've set in place.
Yes, yes, yes.
Just for the sake of the viewer,
maybe
you just highlight a bit of the youth programs you've set that are actually underway in the county.
Okay, you look at our county, we look at the manifesto of His Excellency, our governor. He is committed to growing talent, to marketing talent and exposing talent. We have an annual youth extravaganza program whereby youths come to showcase their talents. At the end of the extravaganza season, it starts from auditions, runs for about 3 months to the final day where they come and showcase their talent, and there is a prize for each winning group in each category. There is a good prize that we give them, at least to help them start off to build their talent and to grow in that talent. Besides growing talent, we have youth in business. And recently, His Excellency was addressing a group of youth in business. And we had a good panel discussion whereby we had guests coming in to help our young people to understand the challenges that come with businesses and how you can overcome the businesses. And we are even focusing on modern type of businesses. You look in our agriculture sector as a county, we are encouraging young people to be agri-entrepreneurship. And these are programs that have been rolled by World Bank through a program in agriculture. And it is focusing on young people because we understand that young people are not comfortable with the old school type of farming and agriculture. So we need to look at what is it that can make them fit in the agriculture sector.
Yeah.
So we are doing agri-entrepreneurship with young people. We have youth in climate, and we have our young people planting trees and just marketing these trees and selling them. There are people who are running projects of planting seedlings, tree nurseries and seedlings. We commit them even in conserving our environment, because we understand when you engage young people in community work, in community participation, you are basically making them feel they are valued in a county. And you see, it is key to help our young people understand they are valued. For the psychological part of it, it will at least reduce the anxiety as a group. And then we also have attachment programs. We are not limited, and we keep on receiving young people on internship, on attachment in our county, and we keep on calling them to come for the attachment program. We are holding youth symposiums in our county, a platform whereby young people, like this month we are having a youth week. And what are we committed to do in this youth week? We have a symposium. We have community service. We want to engage them in community service. We want to do mental health awareness. When we so these are just some of the many programs that we've engaged our young people in as a county. And then we're also talking to our development partners because we understand the government cannot employ all the youth that we have in the county.
Yes.
So we need to engage the development partners and give them opportunities. The other day, CIC was in the office of His Excellency asking for opportunities to empower about 300 youths in the marketing skills and just giving them opportunities to market their products. This is a job opportunity.
Yes.
You never know how it will grow. We have MasterCard working with a local bank in Vihiga County to grow the agenda of youth in terms of economic empowerment. We have the Youth Enterprise Fund in Vihiga County, and we are asking our young people to come. We support them on how they can apply for these loans and how can they grow with these loans. And then we are networking with our local banks for entrepreneurship. We give them platforms to talk to our young people on micro-entrepreneurship and funds management. That is another factor that is also affecting our young people. You give them money today, tomorrow they don't have the money. So we also need to educate them and enlighten them on how to manage these resources, these limited resources that they're having. So Vihiga is doing so much with the young people in our county. We are also observing the AGPO, the 30% rule, whereby young people are supposed to commit to supplying, or rather to offer services in the county. We've not been doing much in this area, but going forward we are committed, like as a department. We need to track, we need to map out, we need to know how are departments in the county performing in terms of observing the 30% rule, whereby young people are allowed to supply their products to the county.
Well, this means tenders, right?
Yeah, tenders.
But then we have two categories of Gen Zs. We have the enlightened, the upmarket, those who are exposed, those who went to school, those ones on X. But then there is another generation in the rural area that doesn't have that advantage. How are these? How are they harnessed? You see, these are two people. they are supposed, actually they speak Sheng, one of them, but they don't have similar or equal advantages. How included are they, the two categories, into these nice programs the county government is running?
Okay. First I want to say, you know, we are talking of a group that grew up in free education. So, and we are talking of a group that basically the chiefs were being forced to make sure watoto wameenda shule. So this is a generation that is maybe say educated and another one that is half educated. So what we are doing as a county government, we work with them in groups. I know when you are working with groups, mostly you'll find them grouping in groups of similar characters, similar everything, you know.
Where they understand each other.
Where they understand each other. So we work with them in groups. We don't work with them as a general team of Vihiga County.
Yes.
So once they are in those groups, you are able to understand the individual needs of the case-by-case needs of each group, and you are able to assign the development programs per group. That is what we do. And we have our social development officers who are ward-based. And these are the people who are actually helping us to identify the active groups. And you know, even as a county government, we are going by those who are also willing to move in that pace. You know, like you said, you cannot impose something on this agency. It's not practical. So we are also moving with a group that is well organized and is willing to partake in the activities that are there. So that is what is helping us to blend this group called agencies.
So you also have pro-government agencies?
Pro-government agencies, we cannot say we can't be to have them, especially in a political space, because naturally our nation is very political.
Yes.
But one thing I appreciate the agencies that we are seeing, they are very democratic. You know, like if you are really pushing your political agenda through them, they will still turn against you. You know, they will listen to you, they will try to go your direction, but give them two days, they automatically shift the allegiance. So I believe with the agencies that we have today, maybe the millennials we can say they are pro-government, but the agencies that we have, I believe these are people who are just looking for their space. They see me, they feel like I've occupied their space. They see a politician, they feel like this politician has taken my space. They see somebody else, you know, they're just out to see how do I fit in. They are not out to promote interests of anybody. That is the advantage of the Gen Z. And that is the difference between the Gen Z and the millennials or the other groups. Because the other generations will propagate the interest of a particular politician.
They were like followers.
Yeah, followers.
But Gen Zs are leaders.
They are leaders. Each of them, in fact, they were telling me, each of us is a leader. That is why we are saying we are leaderless. I am a leader. My opinion may not be the same opinion as his opinion. So I cannot speak for him. He has to speak for himself. I'm speaking for myself. That is their theory. And that is what they believe in. So being pro-government, being against the government or pro-government, I can say is relative, unless it is backed by a political influence.
You see, there is when you speak and you touch their, as in, there is one that is clapping in this studio already, because you've just said what you've just touched them. Now, the element of leaderlessness. Then there is this organization that they have been able to organize themselves. That may have gotten you as a government unaware.
Very true.
And they proved it, that they can be able to turn a stone. There must be a way you government are thinking of how to use this energy, because this energy is here. That much as they're asking you hard questions, they're seeking for accountability.
Yes, yes.
But they're also saying, we are here, use us.
Yeah.
Are we only going to use them in these youth spaces, or you're going to put them into the mainstream? How are you going to mainstream their conversations?
Yeah. That is a good question. And, you know, like as a county government of Vihiga, we are now thinking beyond the demonstrations. We are looking at what next after the demonstration, because there is a season for everything. And if you look at what is happening today in Kenya, it is a season for demonstration. It means they are passing across some information. And the information these young people are also passing across, apart from accountability, is we want to be part of decision making. We want to be involved in decision making in your governments. You've kept us on the fence for many years. You've assumed we are kids. But today we want to show you we are smart. We may be young. We may be seen as children. But we are smart. We have the potential to make a decision. So going forward, what should the governments do? What I'm saying is we should involve them in strategic plans making process.
Mm-hmm.
We need to incorporate them. When as a department I have a proposal, I want to make a proposal, maybe a project proposal for funding, I believe it is the right group of people that I can float the agenda into them and ask them to come up with maybe kind of a proposal writing competition. Are you getting it? Yes. Strategic plan making competition. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the day, let me award them. Let me bring this culture of contributing to the development agenda of the county. Once we bring this culture, they will own the process.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have owned the process, we will coexist peacefully.
And then you see, if one of them won fairly, the other one will not feel bad.
Yeah.
Because
it was a fair competition.
It was a fair competition.
Yeah. So those are the areas that we are looking at as a Department of Youth Affairs. We really must, because we cannot include all of them on a leadership platform. We cannot appoint them on the board, all of them. Mm-hmm. And the way they are saying, we are leaderless. You will not speak for me.
Yes.
So going forward, they may even tell us that the chair of the board will not speak for me. So we need to come up with programs that will involve all of them in decision making as a county government. And that is the key program that we can do. When we are doing all the plans, let us float in the agency.
Vihiga County has a very huge population outside Vihiga.
Yes.
Like the bulk of Vihiga populations, they may be voting in Vihiga, but they don't stay there. Some of them actually don't vote in Vihiga, but they're Vihiga populations. Among them are these influential agencies.
Yes.
Maybe you may want to think about trying to bring those things home. What do you think? And have we had that kind of conversation?
Okay, when we have our youth programs, mostly we incorporate them. Like a case in point, this young man called Vida. He's very common in our functions. Awinja is also very common in Vihiga most of the time. When we want when we want them to address our young people, they receive our calls. That is the beauty of it. But now asking them to come back in the county, we may not afford their economic stability, because where they are, they have gone to look for how to make a living. But a case in point like this young lady called Awinja, she normally comes for her shows in the village. Actually, most of the time you will see her empowering. And when you ask her, why do you do your shows in the village, in Vihiga County, she will tell you, I'm trying to empower my people. That is why I'm giving back. And my giving back is coming back to the community. So most of the influential Gen Zs who are out there in other towns, we've seen them come back home to do empowerment programs in the community. To us, that is enough, because they're also creating space for other people to grow. Because when you look at our county, it is very tiny and it is overpopulated. And culturally, even as a lawyer, when the space is small, those who are successful are supposed to move out, so that you create room for others to also expand. So the only way we can involve them in our program, it is through their digital space. That is how we can engage them and maybe ask them to guide the younger Gen Zs on how to get to where they are. And if you look carefully, if you look keenly, most of our Gen Zs are earning a lot from the social media platform. And they are influenced by those who are there before them and those who are earning from those platforms. So that is how they're also catching up with the pace of also earning from the social media. So we can't ask so much from them in terms of coming back home, but they can come back to give back in the community.
Okay, if they so wish.
If they so wish.
Now, which brings us to a very sensitive element.
Yes.
Culturally, you see, you can only transmit a cultural value using a cultural language, an indigenous language. Now, if these guys are tribalists, how are we equipping our future generations? What is the future of tomorrow? You see, when we are able to give them our values, that which defines us, that which makes us stand out in our indigenous languages, then they can be able to get it and internalize it and own it. Okay? But if it's not there, you just blamed Kibaki for giving us free education and giving us a very restless generation. But are we going to find someone else to blame Daktari Otichilo for teaming up with 47 other counties in Kenya to give us a platform for the leaderless, tribalist generation that spoiled the party for the future generations? Because our values must stand out also. Yeah.
When we talk of a tribeless generation, you know, these are children who are born of two parents from different communities. 3/4. Like one amezaliwa na Mluya, baba Mjaluo. Mwingine Mkikuyu, baba sijui. You know, these are just a blended
You see,
tribe.
mtoto ni wa baba. Okay. Don't.
You know, that's the stereotype of Luya, that mtoto ni wa baba, but you see who carried that baby. It's me who carried the child for 9 months. That is my baby.
Yeah, okay.
And then you see, and then we are talking of lugha ya mama. And then you are even confusing us further by telling us lugha ya mama is lugha ya baba. You know,
No.
The words that we are using itself, you know.
Madam, I'm not trying to. I'll give you time to speak. But you see, you also have to understand that as an African setting community, we have those values that passed from generation to the other generations,
yes.
and they stood the way they stood because a father figure remained, a man remained.
Yes.
Today's generation, which you are saying that a mother is a different tribe from a father, has actually given us a hybrid type of generation.
Yes.
Which is giving us a restless generations. Now, are we supposed to succumb to that, or are we supposed to re-engineer our thinking so that we incorporate them to have a future? Because in this, the way things are going, we are likely not to have an African setting in the coming few years.
I want to say the digital space is to blame.
Okay.
Not us. And I want to say, because we are also not catching up. You know, like I said, the only way we can communicate with this generation is through the digital space. Like, I'm not expecting in this generation, your grandchildren, when they are grown-ups, they will comfortably sit down with you and discuss anything constructive with you. They will only listen to you, but they will do what they think they want to do. That is the mindset of this generation. So, like I said, if we don't catch up with their way of communication, maybe we also need to come up with a system whereby we can communicate our values on their platform.
Okay.
That is the only way out. Because this is a generation that some of them even have pseudo accounts. Even if you try to track who is Anne on Facebook, you will not get that Anne. If you try to track who is Kevin on Facebook, you will not be able to get all of that Kevin. So we must rethink on how we've been passing our values to this generation. I believe it is good to have an identity as a human being. Very important. It is good to appreciate your culture. Your history will help you to understand where you are coming from and where you are going to. Now the question remains, what history generation has? We are talking of a generation that was born mostly in urban setups. These are generations that maybe us, the millennials and the Generation X, did not expose them to our culture. So we created the gap. So what me and you should be asking ourselves and the public, how do we fill this gap? And that is why we need to embrace our culture and look at programs that can blend the young people and the old on the same in the same space.
Yes.
so that we can address the cultural issues and even transfer the values to these young people. But if we are not creating this platform, then automatically we will continue losing the young people. Like, for example, in our county, the other day my governor was launching a book on our culture. You are there.
Yes, I was.
You go through this book, it is detailed. So how do we make sure this book is on social medias? How do we make sure this book is in schools? You know, how do we talk to our teachers to create a lesson for this history in our schools? So the county governments should go back on the drawing board and look at opportunities that can help us get the attention of the Gen Zs for us to pass our values.
Yes.
Otherwise, we've created the gap.
Whoa, we're just coming up to the end of the program, but before we end, there are two questions from your viewers right now. It's not related with the Gen Zs. You are in charge of the department, culture, and every other subset. Do you have a policy coming up to recognize heroes, and how are we going to identify and justify heroes within Vihiga County? And are we going to follow the old school, or we're going to redefine our heroes? Who is our hero? Do we have that kind of policy coming up, or do you have an act of parliament in Vihiga County over the same? I'm talking about naming of streets, monuments.
This is something to think about, and it is a positive question that is actually opening up my mind as a waziri of this department, that I need to think about a policy on culture. And maybe we need to know, when they're talking of heroes, are they also talking on the heroes who died during the protest?
Of course.
Because according to Gen Z,
especially those ones.
According to Gen Zs, they see them as the heroes.
Of course.
And of course the world is also seeing them as heroes, because they really sacrifice to go to the graves, you know. So this is a mind-opening question, and it is something that I need to consider as a waziri of this department.
The second question, also unrelated to the Gen Zs, is about the women, the women of Vihiga County. Any specific activity or any specific policy that addresses the woman of Vihiga County? Because you've exported quite a bit. There are those whom you mentioned, like Awinja, who go out and bring back something at home. Princess Asamba, she's also doing something with the Maragoli language. She speaks very nice Maragoli language. Now, what is it that the Vihiga County administration is doing about the woman of Vihiga County?
Okay, we are coming up with a gender policy, and this policy, 3/4 was focusing on the plight of a woman and how to address the issues affecting women. When you look at the widows in Vihiga County, they will be captured in this policy. How do we attend to their needs as a county, as a government? How do we make sure their succession issues are well handled? But again, when you come to our county, we are working closely with the national government, especially the county commissioner, because they have the tools and the equipment to address people's issues. When I talk of people's issues, I'm talking of women, children, male, and the elderly. You know, they have the right tools and the right governance to address these issues. So we work hand in hand with them to make sure that issues of women in our county are addressed. Basically, the main issue that is affecting our women in the county is gender-based violence. It is rampant. And what we are doing as a department, again, we have just concluded a gender-based violence policy. In fact, it is an SGBV, gender-based violence policy. When we roll out this policy, actually it will enable us now to enforce the law in the county. So that is where we are going to. That is where we are headed to. Our women are not left out in the county government of Vihiga. The male issue is not left out in the county government of Vihiga. we are really trying to bring everybody on board so that we come up with a socio-economically empowered county. That is where we are headed to.
You see, when you talk about men, I feel happy because no one talks about men. We talk about women, we talk about youth.
And children.
As men are the cast ones.
Men are not cast, only that men are silent. They don't want to speak up.
Yeah, we suffer silently.
You suffer silently.
Good. Now, maybe something you should mention. All these conversations that is going on, the gender-based violence, the women policy, the youth policy, the
children policy.
I'm just excited too about culture and everything else. The county administration is focused on delivering specific deliverables within this financial year. Anything you may want to just tell us? Or maybe the challenges you're facing in maybe attaining your projections, and then we'll end up there.
Okay, the main challenge that we are facing in attaining our projection is, you look at the economy of Kenya today, you will realize funding has gone low in most of our revenue streams. Like people are not even able to afford to trade. I think the economy has really hit on our people, and even tapping into the revenue stream to grow, to achieve our plans is a bit, is slowing up the process. So what we planned, we may not be able to achieve within a year because everything is pegged on funding. Even if you worked with development partners, they are pegged on funding. You look at our health sector, the time frame that the donors were to be there has elapsed. So we also need to rethink how are we now going to invest in the health sector and grow the health sector. You look at the education sector, you see what is happening today.
Yes.
It is no longer free education. You see, the parents have to cough in their pockets. And especially with the CBC, it has become very expensive. So you look at the way the economy is affecting all the revenue streams of our counties. And what we are planned for may not be achieved within the particular time frame, but it will be achieved eventually because there are policies that are in place that are guiding us, and we have work plans that are supposed to guide us to achieve what we're supposed to achieve for our people in Vihiga County.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe we need to think beyond we need to think about the creative economy and see how can we tap into this economy. And these the bearers of this creative economy are the same young people, and this is why we now need to invite them in our house and ask them, how do we grow our economy? How do we use your talent?
Yes.
How do we use your brains to grow our economy? And we can now be talking of a different space of implementing the strategies and the policies that we have. Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, my final thoughts are to the young people. First, I want to say, you are a canvas that the masterpiece of the future is crafted on, and we are committed to seeing to it that we are crafting a future that is reliable. We are crafting a future that is sustainable. And I want to tell the young people, your thoughts are valid, only that you need to allow us to reason with you and see what are rational and what is not rational, so that we move together with the same energy and achieve the economic independence that every other Kenyan is seeking for. That is what I can tell my young people out there. I also want to tell you, set the right goals. Success starts with a decision. When you make a decision like, where do I want to be in the next 10 years? You now start walking the journey. How do I get there? And you will get there. And who will help me to get there? As a young person, definitely you need to choose your company wisely. When you choose a company of fools, you become a fool. When you choose a company of innovative minds, you also become very, very innovative. So that is my word to you, my young people in Kenya. And keep up. We value you. Nobody should tell you you are valueless. Nobody should tell you you are worthless. We value you. And you proved that you can be trusted with a lot of information. Thank you.
Waziri Anne Chilande.
Yes.
She's the CC in charge of, I only know youth. What else? Culture?
Gender. Gender, youth affairs, sports, culture, and social services.
Those are very many chief. They're called what? Chief officers. Culture, youth as specific youth.
Chief officer,
chief officer, youth chief officer.
No. I only have 2 chief officers. I have 2 directorates. The Director of Youth Affairs and Sports and the Director of Gender. Gender holds children, people with disability, social services. Well, it's like 5 minutes past 10 o'clock. I'm so late, and I'm sure the director of the program is wondering, what is this guy doing in studio? To respect that gentleman, I want to leave with Madam so that we give him an opportunity to continue with the rest of the programming. This conversation goes on X at WestTV_Kenya, Facebook West TV, on YouTube. We are at YouTube Live. You can always follow it and leave your comment there. Whenever you're on social media, please leave a comment, subscribe, like, and let us know where you're watching us from. It will be interesting. My name is CKS. See you on Tuesday next week. Thank you. Yeah.